process I go through when I'm rehabbing a plane to put it to use, I take everything apart, even all the screws, and I just set those aside. We'll come back and we'll clean those later. From here, it's just a matter of cleaning things up and removing as much rust as I can. And you can use whatever method you feel comfortable with in doing that. I like to start with the body of the plane, see what kind of shape we can get that in. So the first thing I look at is how much rust is on it and what kind of work do I need to do to clean this up. Now, if you're a collector, you may not want to remove too much patina because that adds to the value. But for me as a user, I think I want to clean this up pretty well so that it looks nice and functions well. So one of the things I like to use is a non-woven abrasive pad. Here I'm using a maroon one, which is, I think, the coarsest one. And we're just going to run this over here and see what we can do with it by itself. I think that looks pretty good for now. I may come back later and work on it some more, but I think I would be happy with that. So we're going to turn it over and work on the other side. If you want, sometimes you can squirt a little lubricant like the old standby WD-40 on here, and sometimes that helps remove some of the dirt and grime. Unfortunately, when I obtained these planes, I was living in the Midwest, and since then I've moved to the southeastern United States where it's usually pretty humid, and I failed to go back and put some rust protectant on this to keep it from rusting. That's why you'll see later on that the blade and chip iron are in such bad shape. Let me squirt a little WD-40 on there. If I run my finger across there, it's not rough anymore. So I think we're done with that. As for the top of the plane, a lot of times I'll just put some WD-40 on a cloth and just come in here and try to clean things up the best I can. While you're in here, you want to make sure that the bed where the frog sits is smooth. There aren't any rough edges or dings or anything like that. And if there are, you should probably file those off so that the frog sits securely on that bed. So I think we're pretty much done with the body of the plane. I'll clean up these edges here. After assembly, I may wax this a little bit to help add some rust protection, but for now, I think that's good enough, and we're going to move on to cleaning up the other parts before we install them and tune this plane up. When it comes to the tote and knob, of course, you want to make any repairs. A lot of time on these old planes, the tote will be cracked, so you want to glue that up before you proceed. Fortunately for these, the finish is looking pretty good. I'm not going to do a whole lot with these, but to clean them up, I usually just put a little mineral spirits on a rag and just wipe them down. When it comes to the frog, I'll just do a little cleanup. Well, just a little tip. You want to get into these recesses and clean out all the gunk and goo. These little inexpensive cotton swabs are just the ticket for that. You can buy these in bulk online, and they're great to have around for jobs like this. One thing I like to do is make sure the surface of the frog is flat Now, this being a bedrock, I'm pretty confident it is, but and to help me remove the rust also, I take a granite tile, flat granite tile. I've got some sandpaper here, and I'm just going to run this across the sandpaper, being careful to avoid getting into that lateral adjust lever. So I'm just going to put this on here and slide it up. If I can feel that lever on there, we're just going to take a few strokes back and forth and see what we got. Well, looks like I was wrong. I think we're just a little bit low up here. So I'm going to work at it just a little bit more. It doesn't have to be perfect. Where it's most critical is down here where the cutting edge is. So I'm going to make sure they're as flat as much as I can. I think this is good enough for now. It's flat. I've got the rust removed. I am concerned a little bit about this front edge, leading edge of the frog. It's quite rough. I'm not quite sure what to do about it, but I think while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and make sure this bottom side is flat as well. This is just some 220 grit sandpaper on my flat tile that I'm using to clean these up a little bit. So you can see I've still got some mill marks there, but generally speaking, this is a flat surface. To address this rough edge up here, I think what I'm going to do, kind of interesting if that's as rough as it is, because that's where the cutting edge of the blade needs to be. I'm going to assume that this has seen some abuse in the workshop. I'm going to clean up this lateral adjustment lever. It's stamped with Stanley on it. I'm going to do a little bit finer grit on my abrasive pad. See if I can clean this up. That's looking a lot better. I think we'll go with that. We're going to clean out the inside of the recesses a little bit though. Now we can focus on the lever cap. These are always tricky because sometimes you'll get them and the plating on them is started to come off and peel off. This one fortunately looks intact. I'm going to take my finer abrasive pad, see if I can clean it up. These are the posts that actually hold the frog in place. There's no threads on it. They're threaded adjustment through threads in through the frog and into this to move the frog back and forth to adjust the mouth opening. Well, I'm ready to tackle the iron, chip iron, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure what I want to do about this.